With a face for radio and a voice for newspapers, it's the Walt Bonetti Podcast.
Welcome to episode 49 of the Walt Bonetti Podcast for April 8th. The Walt Bonetti Podcast is brought to you by the Original Italian Pie of Kenner, 3600 Williams Boulevard, just a little bit north of West Esplanade. You can dine in or call them, 469-4999, and they'll have your order ready for pickup, or they will deliver it to your home or your office. On today's podcast, more thoughts, if you can call them thoughts, about New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell's Cuba trip, a repeat dumbass of the day, a South Carolina man goes to extremes to avoid a DUI, and a New York man steals a Little Debbie truck, but he doesn't partake in Little Debbie's treats. But first, these quick hits. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game is tonight. Texas Tech faces off against Virginia, and I'm really happy. And one thing that we're going to know for sure, no matter who wins, they will be a first-time ever champion. And that's a good thing. I was happy that Auburn made it to the Final Four as well. I don't know about you, but I'm so sick of Duke and North Carolina and Kentucky year after year after year in the NCAA men's basketball finals. You have to respect the fact that they get there year after year, but enough already. It's like Alabama in college football. You have to respect that they get there and that they win year after year after year, but enough already. Let's move on. Let's get some new teams involved. That's what makes sports great, rooting for the underdog. The Cinderella story. I was watching an ESPN documentary the other day about Indiana State and Larry Bird coming back for another year after he was drafted. And he could have gone to the Boston Celtics. I think he was the number 2 pick in the entire draft. But he came back because he wanted to win and win a championship for his small school. And he took them to the championship game. They ended up losing to Michigan State and Magic Johnson. But he still got them there. And we were all rooting for them. I remember being, I think it was 18 years old, and rooting for Indiana State. I had no ties to Indiana State and no ties to Larry Bird. But I was rooting for them. I wanted them to win. That's what galvanizes us. And that's why you got to root for the underdog. So, congrats to Texas Tech. Congrats to Virginia for making it to the Final 2. Congrats to Auburn for making it to the Final 4. Great job. The legislative session opened today in Baton Rouge at noon. And as always, I've been trying to follow along with different bills and trying to read whatever I can so that I can be informed about what's going on. So, I'm reading an article today on WAFB.com, Channel 9 in Baton Rouge, a television station. And the headline grabbed me. It said, Bill Watch 2019. What's what during the 2019 Louisiana Legislative Regular Session? Okay, sounds informative, right? I'm going to get a lot of great information. I'm going to be able to pass that along to you on the podcast, have calls for action about certain bills, things that we need to watch what's going on in Baton Rouge. But no, I was sadly disappointed. With over 800 bills pre-filed before the session even began. Here's a direct quote from this article. Quote, read more about the bills WAFB is keeping an eye on below. 1. Louisiana legislator proposes bill for production of industrial hemp. House Bill 491. 2. Lawmaker introduces bill that would remove the term milk from anything that is non-dairy. Senate Bill 39. And that's it. 2 bills out of over 800 pre-filed. One having to do with industrial hemp. The other having to do with taking the word milk out of non-dairy products. Come on. There's more. There's more going on in Baton Rouge than that. And this is a TV station. This is exactly what is wrong with television news. They got to drill it down to 2 things, 2 arcane issues that make no difference to anyone, except maybe milk producers and those producing industrial hemp. Hey, I'm for both of them. How is that something that we need to keep an eye on? You have issues like, how much is the state going to pony up for teacher and support pay raises? How much is going to go for education? There are several bills out there about marijuana. And I don't smoke pot. I don't. One of them has to do with decriminalizing pot, which I'm for. Another one has to do with legalizing pot. Again, I'm for that. Another one talks about legalizing pot and taxing it. Yeah, okay. I mean, we tax tobacco. We tax smokeless tobacco. We tax alcohol. Why not tax pot? That's fine. There are bills about medical marijuana, which I am very much in favor of, even though, again, I don't smoke it. I haven't smoked pot in, I don't know, 30 years at least. But still, when you have, like I said, over 800 bills and 2 bills that a television station is going to keep an eye on and they're informing the public, that's a joke. First, the Rolling Stones canceled on Jazz Fest. And now their replacement, Fleetwood Mac, has canceled also. Who is going to headline on the new day Jazz Fest added? Well, one thing is for sure. There is absolutely no truth to the rumor, and no matter what people say or what kind of inducements they toss my way, I will not be singing and headlining Jazz Fest. I don't want to pat myself on the back. I really, really don't like that. Honestly, I'm being sincere about that. But last Wednesday, which was April 3rd, we discussed New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and her visit to Cuba. And I questioned why. Not only why she was going to Cuba, but why the secrecy. Because it was a secret trip. No one knew anything about it beforehand, and she left on April 2nd. So here's a little old me on the podcast talking about her trip on April 3rd. But what's interesting to me is that there are people in the media who do this for a living, and it took them several days to even talk about it. On Friday night, Clancy Dubose at Gambit wrote a piece about Cantrell's trip to Cuba. Friday night. Now somebody needs to tell Clancy that it's 2019, and there's this little thing called the internet, which he should know. But you can print things whenever you want. You don't need to wait. But that's not why Clancy had the delay. Clancy had the delay because, like all things, he needs to go outside and lick his finger and stick it in the air to see which way the wind is blowing before he can formulate an opinion. Because the reality is someone like Clancy Dubose has no business commentating on anything. Now, yes, I commentate. I give my own personal opinion. But I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. The reality is, Clancy Dubose is an ambulance-chasing hack attorney. He wouldn't even rank in the top 100, maybe not even the top 500 attorneys in Metro New Orleans. He and his wife got lucky. They bought Gambit. It was already rolling. Now, yes, they stuck it out, and they made money, and it got better and bigger, obviously, before he sold it to John George's at The Advocate for who knows how much. But for whatever reason, they still kept him on so Clancy can keep pretending to be an expert political commentator. Dubose says, quote, "For the record, Cantrell's trade mission to Cuba is totally justified." No, it's not. Just because Mitch Landrieu went there and Kathleen Blanco went there and Ray Nagin went there, that doesn't mean someone else needs to go there too. The mayor of a city should never be involved in trade negotiations or in economic missions to a foreign country. They're the mayor of a city. I don't care how many Cubans live in New Orleans. That doesn't matter. The mayor isn't involved in trade. No mayor is. That's out of their jurisdiction. Now, Blanco went there. I got no problem with that. She's the governor. That's a different level. But just because Ray Nagin went there and Mitch Landrieu went there, that doesn't mean you're mayor of New Orleans and you get to go there too, Ms. Cantrell. It doesn't work like that. I don't care what Clancy Dubose says. What's even worse than what Dubose wrote is the fact that there are radio talk show hosts out there who are dumbasses, who took even longer to talk about Cantrell's Cuba visit. There's a radio talk show host out there who fancies himself as a television star as well, and a writer. And he didn't write about it until Saturday. Saturday! She was almost home by Saturday. The mayor's back now, and we still don't know who paid for the trip. There was a report that half of the money came from private funds. Well, that's half of it. So the rest came from the city? The rest came from taxpayers? So Mayor Cantrell can visit Cuba, can go on a little vacation? There's been no reports about what was accomplished, what the goals were for the trip. None of that. And that isn't right, even if only half of the trip was paid for by taxpayers. And like I said, no matter what Clancy Dubose says, the trip wasn't justified. And it certainly wasn't totally justified. Come on now. And now this. As I mentioned, the NCAA men's basketball championship game is tonight. And you want to watch the game. And you're probably going to have some friends over. Well, unless you're me, because I have no friends. But that's beside the point. But get some great food, because you don't want to cook. But you still have to serve them. You still have to take care of your friends. Call the Original Italian Pie of Kenner. Just do it. 469-4999. They will bring the food to you. Whether you want pizzas, calzones, pasta, salads, wraps, wings, great. Italian-style breaded wings. Hummus, no matter what you want. Appetizers to pizza. You can get it all at the Original Italian Pie of Kenner. So call them, 469-4999. Feed your friends some great food and leave the worries to them and watch the game.
You gonna put your clothes on?
Yes, I swear!
You gonna keep them on?
Yes, I promise I'll never bother you again with my body. Please, just make this stop!
Walt Bonetti.
Welcome back. Thanks again for spending part of your day with the podcast. Chad Calder has an article in The Advocate and on theadvocate.com where he asks the question, with Jefferson Parish landfill overhaul close to complete, what will that mean for air quality? We've talked a lot about the stench in River Ridge and Harahan, and in the article, Calder cites Mike Lockwood, the director of Jefferson Parish's Environmental Affairs, as saying this is the first time in 5 years the entire system is operational. Quote, I think that's quite a milestone for the parish. End quote. My question is, why? Why is this the first time in 5 years? Who has been the parish president for the last 3.5 of those 5 years? Yes, that's right. Jefferson Parish's sexual predator-in-chief, Michael, don't call me Mike, Yenny. He's been the man, well, allegedly the man, in charge. Why has it taken this long to get things right? These are basic things. You need to make sure your systems work. And Yenny, once again, proves that he was asleep at the wheel. And he's been asleep this entire time. Come on, people. We deserve better. Chances are, many of you own a refrigerator with a freezer. Either the freezer is on top, or it's on the side, or it's even on the bottom in some of the newer refrigerators. But you own a refrigerator and a freezer. Now, if your freezer didn't work properly for 5 years, wouldn't you want to get it fixed? Don't you think that that is important? Well, it's just as important to have the landfill systems operating properly. And Mike Yenny failed. That alone should disqualify him. Forget about the sexting. Forget about how you feel about Mike Yenny. Forget about any of that. You have to keep the systems working properly. If you cannot do that, you are incompetent. And Mike Yenny has shown on multiple occasions just during this crisis alone that he is incompetent and incapable of handling the responsibilities of being parish president. Period. I don't care whether you like John Young. I don't care whether you like Cynthia Lee Shang. You cannot re-elect Mike Yenny. You can't do it. The people of River Ridge and Harahan have been dealing with this stench for over 1.5 years. People have gotten sick. People have sued the parish now, multiple lawsuits against the parish. And it's been over 9 months since Yenny's infamous press conference, where he pointed the finger at everybody but himself. And that's where he should have pointed. And you know that. But my point is, it's been long enough. How long does it take to get a system working properly? And how long has Yenny known that it wasn't? If you have your director saying, well, this is the first time in 5 years it's been working, what's he been doing? Come on now. This is a continuous comedy of errors in Jefferson Parish. If we weren't embarrassed enough already, we are the laughingstock now. And yet, you have Yenny's administration patting themselves on the back, saying, hey, this is a good thing. We finally got it to work after 5 years. And I'm sure there'll be a press conference by Mike Yenny saying, oh, the crisis is over. But I've got to tell you, I was in Harahan on Friday night. The stench is still there, and it's bad. Now, maybe the people there have gotten used to it, so they're not complaining as much, but it's bad. I don't go to Harahan that often, but I was there Friday. And you could clearly smell it in the air. I don't know how those people do it. This has affected people's lives. It's affected their health. It's affected their property values. There are people who cannot sell their homes or get the proper value for their homes because of this stench, because no one knows the long-term impact it's going to have on people. Just as this has impacted people's lives, it needs to impact Mike Yenny's employment. And that's all I'm going to say about it, for now anyway.
Now, the Walt Bonetti Podcast Dumbass of the Day.
Our dumbass of the day is a repeat dumbass, and I'm sure he'll be a dumbass again, probably multiple times. He is Acadiana Congressman Clay Higgins. You know, it's sad that there were 3 church fires in St. Landry Parish that affected predominantly black churches. Churches should be off limits. Whether they're a Catholic church, a Baptist church, a Protestant church, a Jewish synagogue, it doesn't matter. They're temples of worship. There's a special place in hell for people who deface or harm churches. Speaking out against the cowards that caused these fires doesn't make Clay Higgins a dumbass. What he says makes him a dumbass. Listen for yourself.
I'm at St. Mary's Baptist Church. One of 3 burned in 10 days in St. Landry Parish. It's a predominantly black Baptist church. There could be many reasons why this happened. None of them are righteous. If you participated in this, you have succumbed to evil powers and principalities are controlling your life. I encourage you to look deep into your heart and step away from the darkness that has enveloped you and turn yourself in, because you will be caught. You will. You will be caught. You will be arrested. You will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Your only chance for freedom, real freedom, spiritual freedom from the pain and heartache that you've caused, this affront against God himself and his children, your only path to freedom is through jail. I advise you to hear my heart and turn yourself in, because you're going to jail one way or the other.
Powers and principalities are controlling your life. What the hell is he talking about? Principalities. That's not even a word. Well, it is a word, but not used that way. And this is a congressman. This is someone that people elected twice. What the hell are you people in Acadiana thinking, electing a dumbass like this to Congress to continue to embarrass our entire state? Clay Higgins makes national news every time he opens his mouth, but for the wrong reasons. Just sit down and shut up already. Do something. Try to pass a bill. Try to do something constructive instead of continuing to embarrass our state. You're not the Cajun John Wayne. Take off the stupid cowboy hat already. An Elmira, New York man is in jail and charged with stealing a Little Debbie snack cake delivery truck. But not so he could eat the snack cakes inside, because he wanted to visit his friends. Elmira police arrested 38-year-old Joseph Taco and charged him with criminal possession of stolen property in the 3rd degree, which is a Class D felony in New York. None of the inventory inside the truck was missing. I mean, really, how could you drive around in a Little Debbie truck and not grab an oatmeal pie or a brownie? A South Carolina man thought he would be able to get away with drunk driving. 49-year-old Efren Mencia Ramirez was pulled over on I-85 in South Carolina after speeding past a sheriff's deputy and swerving into another lane. As the officer walked towards the car, he could see the driver spraying Axe body spray in his mouth. When the officer reached the vehicle, the deputy noticed an opened 12-pack of beer and saw that Ramirez had an open bottle between his legs. Ramirez told the deputy that he had only one beer, and that alone should get you arrested because we all know you're lying. But then he failed a field sobriety test, and his breathalyzer test showed he had a blood alcohol content of 0.15, which is almost twice the legal limit. Ramirez was arrested, and he is in jail charged with driving without a license, no proof of insurance, driving under the influence, and an open container violation. Well, that puts a wrap on today's podcast. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please email me at waltbradio@gmail.com. Don't forget to support our sponsor, the Original Italian Pie of Kenner, 3600 Williams Boulevard, just a little bit north of West Esplanade. You can dine in or call them, 469-4999, and they'll have your order ready for pickup, or they will deliver to your home or your residence or your man cave. As we tell you every day, please go out and be a blessing. Change someone's life today. You can do it. Thanks for listening.
Walt Bonetti.